It's time for the shop report with
Barbershop J.
What up, sports fans? Welcome to the Shop Report special presentation of the Turnbuckle. Of course, I am your host, Double J, and we got a lot to say, man. It is Monday night, and we are not pre-recorded. We are coming to you live, and that is a shot. It's a bet.
L-I-V-E, live from you to me. What's going on, Double J?
Gully, my co-host, my guy from the CO Lumbus, ranked fourth. You guys are fourth in the pizza category now. I didn't know if you knew that.
Fourth. That's a fantastic. I don't eat a lot of pizza, but that if I did, I'm lying. I'm lying. I just had Papa John's on Saturday. I don't know why I got the line. I'm not even gonna do that to you because we don't lie here. We be honest, okay? And if sometime in the future what we said on one time is different from what we say, call us out on that. But yeah, I'm lying. I eat a lot of pizza. Now, what I'm guessing is the local establishment, the local chains, you know what I mean? That ranks us fourth. That's good. That means I need to go and try a few of them. But I tell you what, Mikey's Late Night Slice, shameless, free pub. Mikey's Late Night Slice. If you're in Columbus, you know what I'm talking about. Especially if you're on 4th Street, you want to make a night of it. Mikey's Late Night Slice. You step on over to 16-bit, had arcade games going on, and then you get your own slice of you get your late night slice, and you get your 16-bit, get your video game on with some drinks, having your little nice.
Hey man, wait a minute, wait a freaking second. Like, I have to stop you there because now you're gonna have to reach out to them.
I'm gonna reach out to both of them. And then it's a one spot in particular I want to reach out to. I need to make sure you do that. Let them know, like, hey man, it's stuff to do in Columbus. Listen, I'm 216. I'm Cleveland, born and raised, but I'm blessed by Columbus. So I have to repay the favor of the blessings that Columbus has provided for me. So you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. A lot to break down from over the weekend.
Yes,
of course. We were live with many of you across the platforms. If
yes.
you didn't know, again, you can see down below some of those channels that we are broadcasting from. I want to shout out all the viewers, of course, from YouTube X, as well as what looks like Twitch as well. So yep. we definitely, by all means, reach out and let us know how you're feeling. Just real quick, off the record, before we dive into this wrestling talk, Ray Davis was a name I threw out your guys' way.
Ray Davis, yes.
Well, it's Ray now. It might as well be all day.
Yeah, all day. Yeah. Having the game. He's showing out. Now, as competitive as the game is, I mean, the Jets with their breath of fresh air that they have with the coaching change, they're playing ball right now. But what did we say? Rather, what did you say, Double J, as far as Ray Davis? Go ahead and reiterate it so that way they know that we are a source to come to for reliable suggestions on your fantasy team. You know what I mean? Tell them what you say.
Well, that was just it, right? That the James Cook possibility with him being out, and then knowing what he had did while he was at Kentucky, seeing the trend, right? Looking at the data, seeing that he was starting to eat into that snap share between the RB2, RB3, and making the most of an opportunity. And he's done exactly that tonight.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. So a lot of things have happened in the last 72 hours since we've joined been with one another. One of which that I wanted to get your opinion on, because I know you've been traveling yourself.
Yeah.
And I figured, we've thrown this name around a few times.
Okay.
But to kick things off here, we had Eric Bischoff.
Yep.
On the possibility of AEW landing Shockwave on Fox. All right. So I'm going to read this to you guys really quickly.
Okay.
So it's not going to land on broadcast TV. That's a fantasy. Look, Swerve is, I understand. He's excited. He's cut out there promoting his company. He's got a big contract renewal. He's doing what he should, promoting the company he works for. And I admire that. I think he's got a little ahead of himself on this by suggesting this. The Fox network did not renew SmackDown. That delivered about 2.5 million to 2.23 million viewers a week. And they're going to replace it with an AEW product that can't find 600 or 700,000 viewers a week. And Rampage and Collision, we're looking at 300 to 400,000 a week. Does anybody in the right bleeping mind think that a Fox network is going to go, well, we couldn't make SmackDown work with 2.5 million viewers, but that Rampage or Collision show, and that this new one, let's do that. What do you say to that, dude? Very candid.
Yeah, I would say he's on to something. Because it is a business. It's our passion. It's our pastime. It's our passion. It's our hobby. It's our escape for us as devoted fans. However, it is a product that needs to have a certain amount of people, and it needs to have a certain amount of resonance in its marketplace in order for it to be viable. What he's speaking to is just the reality of the dream world we live in, right? So it's not going to work. What that means, what I'm suggesting is, it's just a sign that they have to continue to build. They have to find other avenues to build. I don't think the dream is deferred. I don't think it's dead, or I don't think AEW has plateaued in that sense. I just don't think it may be ready yet for that move. And if you move too aggressively in a direction, unless you really have a strategic long-term vision, like in the same way, for example, a gaming console might. You have a long-term vision for a product such that first year or two console itself, the hardware itself, is sold at a tremendous loss versus cost of manufacturing, because there's a long-term strategy and vision that we're going to dedicate to, that we believe in, so that way it will, on the other side of us going through the dire straits in the beginning, we'll be better on the other side. If AEW has that vision, then what Eric Bischoff's saying, while still accurate, while still relevant, while still the reality, Eric Bischoff, what he's saying is only it's only a caution. Like, do you believe in yourself? Right? Does AEW believe in its product itself? Does AEW believe in its long-term position in the landscape of sports entertainment to go that route? Or should they retool? Perhaps maybe not go assertively, and maybe they don't need this, but maybe they need something else ahead of going to Fox. They think that they need the big name in order to establish and grow the brand, or grow the brand and grow its presence. Perhaps they may need something different. What if they went YouTube? What if they went YouTube? What if they, on the heels of Netflix securing WWE, perhaps stopped themselves to a streaming platform, maybe a burgeoning streaming platform, to say, hey, we can do that too? Because I'll tell you what, the one thing that WWE has that I like is, hey, man, I got Peacock. So I have WWE Network. And if I don't catch USA, because I don't have USA, I got Peacock. So I can still recap. I can still watch it. And then I can still get the premium live events. If they had a way to make that more accessible, maybe that more accessible from a recap perspective, maybe that can help to grow the brand. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting you say that because you talked about one of the angles that you had mentioned was a name.
Yes.
And so I want to read, actually, again, strange that you set that up perfectly, by the way. And again, we don't script this, folks. This is live. I'll read you this. The Black Sheep's fumble, Shane McMahon's ill-fated bid to revive AEW. In a move that could possibly leave fans and industry insiders baffled, Shane McMahon being considered the outcast of the McMahon dynasty, and that's some interesting verbiage. I'll get your thoughts on that. Okay. Will attempt to inject new life into AEW in the coming weeks. Right. Despite his claims of being the visionary his father Vince overlooked. Shane contends that his outlandish ideas were met with eye rolls and confusion. So sources close to AEW say some of Shane's pitches includes 12-hour wrestling marathon and live snake belt challenge, which had Tony Khan and others questioning whether Shane was serious or still high from his infamous death-defying leaps.
Live snake belt challenge? What is that?
Bruh,
what even is that?
Put that with the thing that Sheamus did the other day. It's in that category or closet. He's always been the wild card, one insider noted, but this is a whole new level of absurd. Shane's bitterness towards being passed over for WWE leadership is palpable. I should have inherited the company, he reportedly uttered. While pushing for nonsensical concepts that would revolutionize wrestling, despite Vince's storied eye roll of disapproval now and in the past. The final verdict, AEW may survive, but Shane's dreams of proving his McMahon worth may have just taken the last dive without a ladder in sight. Gully, what the heck do you say to that?
Vince McMahon didn't hit on everything.
That's a great point.
Vince McMahon thought that it was a good idea to repackage Razor Ramon and Diesel with other professional wrestlers as if professional wrestling fans viewed wrestling the same as other forms of performance art, of other TV shows. No, we thought Kevin Nash and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were those guys, and that's it. Vince McMahon thought it was a great idea to repackage a white man as a South African named Akeem in the 80s.
Get me out of here.
Okay, Vince McMahon did that. Vince McMahon wanted to rest his soul. Droz, he wanted to brand Droz as puke with his ability to puke on command. These are
Vince isn't Shane's ideas.
Say again.
Are you sure that's not Shane's ideas?
I don't know, and I don't give a. But what I'm saying is, every idea of Vince's didn't hit, and some of them were laughably deplorable. So Shane McMahon is due for some laughably deplorable ideas. But I can't. But so if these were examples, then what other ideas did he have? Understand what the article did. And the challenge that I have, give me all of Shane's ideas. Were these it? Or were these the worst of what he gave you to create a narrative of how out of touch he is? Because if you go tell me that Stephanie McMahon and Triple H hit it out the park with everybody that they have. Some ideas are bad ideas or horrible ideas. But for a company that is largely moving on the right course, they're afforded a misstep of two. And a giant misstep for one company or a giant misstep, think about it like a boat. You overcompensate on a dinghy, you're moving way off course. But if you got a massive boat and you overcompensate, the effects of that are gradual, and you could probably course correct before the damage is already done. So don't just give me the worst of Shane's ideas. First of all, I'm not an idiot. I don't think those ideas are good at all, what he said, but I don't think those were all that he had. So don't tell me the worst ideas that he had were all that he had.
Valid point. I mean, those are fantastic points. Look, I get it, right? You're not going to hit on everything. And honestly, there's certain minds behind the scenes that do help, are really part of the engine that makes this thing go.
Right.
We've seen that time and time again. And so, yeah, it may take him a minute to establish a rhythm and become his old self, but I'm not going to write it quite off yet. And strangely enough, Gully, that leads into one of those former minds.
All right, before you go there.
Yep.
Officially or unofficially, what is Shane McMahon's current status as far as actually being a part of AEW?
Like, has he formally signed an agreement?
Is he liaisoning? Is he consulting? Is it still the rumor mill of he might go, or what is happening here?
So it says, as of a day ago, they're saying that he's helping Jon Moxley.
What do you mean he's helping Jon Moxley?
I'm trying to see if I believe this or not. Hang on. It's still rumor mill.
Oh, okay.
But as of 5 days ago, it is 100% to join among the recent rumors. So all the industry insiders, ourselves included, are now on board that once was this somewhat being a pipe dream is now absolutely a done deal. It's just a matter of the ink drying.
I hope it's successful in that AEW somehow improves as a brand with Shane McMahon, in some type of creative direction. Like I wanted to work out the best for him. I'm rooting for him. I feel like he is the underdog story, because I feel like once Stephanie was chosen, I felt like Vince McMahon had it in his mind there could be only one. And siblings can't coexist. Like, there's the king, and Prince Harry never going to be king, because it's going to be William. And now that William got a kid, it's going to be William's kid. And Harry's always going to be Prince Harry. And he'll never inherit the throne unless something that he wouldn't want to happen for his family would happen to his family for him to inherit the throne. And I don't think he would want it that way. Just like I don't think Shane would want to inherit WWE under certain circumstances. Therefore, absent those circumstances, he's always going to be on the outside looking in. Even though the ghost of Vince McMahon is all that remains in WWE, the essence of Vince McMahon is there because of Paul Levesque and Stephanie McMahon. And for that, those being the chosen ones, Shane will always be looking outside in on a company that he wanted to inherit. The tragic irony of Shane McMahon being his father's son, just like Vincent Kennedy McMahon is his father's son. But Vincent Kennedy McMahon was ruthless enough to take it from his dad. Shane didn't. And so that's why I would like for it to work. Shane McMahon has gained my respect as I gotten older and watched and I guess started to see a different aspect of WWE and of sports entertainment. While I didn't like Shane, the character, very much as I was a child watching it, being, first row to the action. My suspension of disbelief was like, hey, I was in the stands. I didn't like it. I think he was corny or whatever else. As I got older and I saw the investment that he had into the business, the fact that while a lot of wrestlers could have done it, Shane McMahon had no business being one of the few guys I've seen on TV that would do the rope to turnbuckle splash. Not a lot of guys took that risk for obvious reason, but of the guys that did, I didn't expect Shane McMahon to be one of them, right? Certainly, I would think that would be something that a Rey Mysterio would try, or even a Chris Jericho would try, or a Taka Michinoku, or give me a name from, or Sabu, right? But Shane McMahon being one of those guys, his commitment to sports entertainment, his commitment to WWE is more than respectable, So that's why, as I get older, I'm kind of rooting for him. I hope that he can find himself back in the business and that it does succeed. Understand what I'm saying? I don't know that AEW needs his help. But if Shane McMahon does become a part of it, I hope AEW does improve. And I hope Shane does, in fact, have the win of being able to have his imprint over a sports entertainment company and it improving, if that makes sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, that is the man, the myth, the legend, D Gully on that with just absolute fire. Okay. I do want to just keep you all informed while Monday Night Football is going on also, because Monday Night Raw, of course, is now 2 hours.
Because we always shop report. While this is the turnbuckle, hey, there's a whole lot of great action in the world of sports right now, especially on the USA side. So go ahead, tell them, Double J, what we got.
So right now, Ray Davis
in
a PPR league.
Watch your waiver wire. Go get them.
Oh, hey, look, I'm going to say it now. I know James Cook, keep an eye on that, right? I think that was week to week, but you heard me say soft tissue.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. Ray Davis is at 24 points.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm. Gibby, if you're out there in the YouTube space,
yes,
I hope you trusted us. We rode with Bucky.
Yes, we did.
And your opponent would have got bucked up.
Right. We were more sold on Bucky. We was as sold on Bucky as Captain America was sold on his Bucky.
Now, not only did I personally do Bucky Irving, but as I told you all, fine, I'll do Tyrone Tracy too. He ended up with a touchdown, 6 receptions, PPR format, so 57 yards. Ended up in my league, because we get first down points too, 29.
How many
Bucky
points you get on first down?
26. You get 1 per first down. You have 4 of them. Oh, I'm sorry, 7 when you add the 3.
You know what, bro? I'm gonna tell you something. I think what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna. You know what? I think I'm gonna create a league next year. I may have a team.
Are we gonna have a listener league?
I might jump back in. I mean,
hey,
I might.
If you guys are interested in joining,
yes,
we might have like a raffle. I mean, Givey comes to mind. Obviously, Detroit fan man.
Yep.
If you guys are interested, of course, the email to go to is the shopreport365@gmail.com. Again, all hate mail, attention, Barbershop J. Business inquiries, of course, you'll see those here momentarily. But go ahead, Gully, because I like the sounds of this.
Yeah, I think I could throw myself. I mean, the idea of creating a league. Some people want to coach. They want to be on the sidelines, right? if you manage your fantasy team, you want to be on the sidelines. Maybe I just want to be GM. Maybe I just want to put together a scenario where people can come together and have fun and be competitive. Because I tell you what, I ran some ridiculous, okay? Spell that RIDIKLAS, ridiculous.
Well, add that to the list. I hope someone's counting out there.
Yeah, I add that to the lexicon, right? Leagues, man, I was giving points for everything, bro. I did not have that league that I heard about, that infamous league where a quarterback tackles were worth 100 points. So you could be dominating the game, but if Aaron Rodgers throws a pick and tackles the defender, he basically won the week.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that form of ridiculousness, I didn't have, but I created some pretty fun points leagues. And I do remember my favorite memory of having fantasy football was, this is way back. We talking about a decade and a half at least. I had a league, well, maybe not a decade and a half, probably it's 10 or more, it's over 10 years. I had a league where I was 1-8. I started 1-8. And no.
How busy were you though?
I was 1-8. Okay, just leave it there.
Hey, at least you're owning it.
But at the point that I went 1-8, I won out for the rest of the season until I met in the semifinals a team that at a point was 0-9 and won out. That team ended up winning the entire league. I remember the name. The team name was Midway Mayhem. In Midway Mayhem, if you somehow find this show and you find this, shout out to you, man, because that was an unbelievable story. I remember having a league where my wide receiver got hurt, and I remember I did this. I went on a waiver wire, and on a Saturday or a Sunday, maybe very late, like I would say hours before kickoff. The day that the world got introduced to Miles Austin, I picked him up, and that's when he debuted. 10 catches, 250 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah, I remember that. Let me see what other.
I'm gonna warn the world now, right? Yeah. So names that we said this week. Just a quick recap: Terry McLaurin, 26 points.
Yep.
No surprise. Despite potentially a small injury to Shaheed, something to keep an eye on. Because again, it's potentially a knee, so we want to know what happened. But it wasn't limited to him and Chris Olave. So we're going to talk A.T. Perry and some of these other guys that had some pretty defined roles in that offense. But by the time we get back together on Saturday, we'll certainly know a lot more about what's going on with that situation.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's all right, though. Trey McBride, the tight end from the Cardinals, ended up with 22. The only miss, and I said barring injury.
Yes.
Besides Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, you probably won't hear that word out of my mouth, that name.
Wait. Yeah, no, you can't gloss over that. Because you kind of.
I said, I know. I went and listened to it.
Yeah. You spent a lot of time on Daniel Jones, man. You gave him Eli Manning. You gave him D. Gully's Eli Manning support to Daniel Jones. You gave him D. Gully's Joe Flacco support to Daniel Jones. You did that, bro. You have to understand, and you have to own it all, right? The glory and the infamous, but you got to own it all.
And this is why, as Doc said, sometimes you can look at the numbers and the numbers are wrong.
Yeah.
And he was right.
There are lies.
Right.
There are damned lies. And there are statistics. My friend, you fell victim to statistics.
I did.
I almost fell victim to saying the word just now. You fell victim to it. I fell victim to saying it. You fell victim to it. But that's okay. That's okay. We all do it. Let me tell you something. Real quick, when we're talking about fantasy and all that. If
You know, he still managed 18 points though. So
He
was I
did.
really wrong?
But right, you know what? That's true. That's true. He managed to. That's true.
Like it wasn't like a week 1-7 versus Minnesota, or 12 versus Dallas. It was 18. If your
It was
starting
18.
quarterback gets 18, I think you're at least okay, right? This is like a Patrick Mahomes bye week. Oh my gosh, this guy that I'm listening to that actually knows what he's talking about. Imagine that. Says Daniel Jones. I can't believe he's saying that. He can't believe he's saying that. And Daniel Jones gets 18. If you lost because of that, and it should have been higher. There were like every big play, it felt like, was called back.
Yes. Now I'll tell you something that's sickening. Ready? I'll tell you something that's sickening. First of all, what's the score of the Jets-Bills game right now?
Let's see here. They went to commercials, so I think that field goal was just kicked. Let's see. Jets-Bills is 23-20. Okay, so they did break the deadlock.
All right. If the Bills win, do you know this week in our Pick'em League, I would be 13 or 14? That means this week.
Say that again.
If the Bills win this week in our Shop Report Pick'em League, this week I would be 13 or 14. If the Bills win,
at that, man.
Do you understand how thankful I am that I'm not the betting man that does parlays? Because I would be absolutely sick right now.
There you have it, folks. This guy is not full of it. There you go. What you mean, Gully?
Yes.
You went against. That was the only one. Okay.
If I had picked the Chargers, but this is what I'm saying. If I had taken some spare change and ran the parlay, ran the full week parlay, I would be absolutely sick. I saved myself nauseum. I saved myself anguish. I saved myself anxiety, palpitations, hypertension, high blood pressure. I saved myself a whole bunch of those headaches by not putting real cash in. Because I would be sick being off by one. But what I can tell you is smaller legs could grow.
Absolutely. So Mrs. A, of course, is live with us, and she says, dang it, I forgot to do my picks.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes.
Oh, my.
You did.
So,
yes, you did.
Gully, I mean, that's fantastic, right? I, of course, am, for those that don't know, I am Famous Joe, originally from ESPN 1000 in Chicago, way back in the day. So, went 13-1, Gully, just like yourself.
Yeah.
So, I've now, of course, turned my attention to the fantasy space, and it shows.
See, I can do the pick 'em. See, that's what I'm saying. I feel like I can do straight up or down, whatever. Straight up or down. Give me the whole collection of numbers and scenarios and guys that can sit and start and situations and all that. Give me the team versus the team and who's going to be the team to score the most points. I can do that to simplify things. At my age and in my mental capacity with everything I got going on, just simplify for me and let me make a simple decision, right? Give me the XLE, LE, XE packages, okay? I don't need to know if I get the XLE. I don't need to have the S package with the DVD, but I don't have the moon move, but I don't have the 8-speaker or the 16-speaker, or I don't have the running sideboards. No. Just give me bam, 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 pick one, right? Remember, like I said, like when we do our match scale, which we got to publish, it's only about 3 or 4 or 5 parameters. Maybe I'll give you when we do our matches, point, whole point, half point. That's it, right? You get very simple stuff from me. As complex as I talk, and I can talk in circles like the best of them. I'm a raconteur extraordinaire. I tell you that. I can do amazingly simple things very simply, like give you a pick 'em. I tell you,
We'd be a great law firm, by the way.
Yeah, we would.
We'd probably, what is that? We'd be put in contempt probably as well. So
we would, we would be contempt, like a Young Thug's lawyer when he was like, "Hey, how y'all have a meeting and I ain't even know about it? Because you have a meeting and the judge gonna put him in contempt. Hey, yo, I'll be in contempt. You put me in contempt so that way you can put me in contempt for me questioning why you had a meeting without me being present about some stuff that I should have known about. Go ahead, put me in contempt. Yeah, I'd be that guy. I see you on Monday.
Well, I'm going to say this too. Of course, I'm going to post a link here in the. Let's see here where I can post this. Should go across the channels there. And if you'd like to join, you could find it there. If you have any issues, by all means, then just reach out and see if you could beat Gully. Apparently, and what am I doing picks for, man? It's you. I can certainly pick them in terms of the fantasy perspective. And
I put it like, yeah, you pick the players, I pick the teams.
There you go.
You know what I mean? And we have a dream team. Get what I'm saying? It's all fantasy.
Where fantasy meets reality.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can do that. We can do that.
All right. So speaking of fantasy and reality,
yeah,
back on the in the squared circle, if you will.
Yes.
Some stuff spilled out of the ring.
Okay.
Vince Russo.
Let's
see, I'm on camera for this.
Oh,
I love it. I love it, and I'm here for
it. What's he called? S-Stain? What is the coordinator call him?
S-Stain. On camera for that.
Yeah. What did Vince Russo say?
So Vince Russo, if you remember, there was the image that went out after Yeet was victorious and finally champion. And of course, Rikishi, his kin, was really kind of hammering that it should have been, it should be right for a host of reasons, right. All of which neither of us disagreed with. And right. So, of course, that comes to be that becomes fact. And, that image of him and Triple H, we're clearly, I think I joked like that scene out of Friday, he's going to cry in the car.
Yeah.
And well, Vince Russo actually saw that image as well. And it goes, well, you know what? I'm going to start with what Rikishi said. Okay. So Vince, well, you know what? Let me start with what Vince Russo originally said, which is, I've said for years, what I said about a wrestler getting emotional over winning a title, I've said for years. And while I understand the fact is that a writer / producer will look at something much differently than an actor or performer does. That's why they're two totally different jobs.
Okay.
Nothing against Rikishi or Jay. Yep.
Whose quote are you? Who are you quoting right now?
Right now, this is Vince Russo.
All right, go ahead. Keep going.
Yep. So again, Vince Russo saw that image of Yeet kind of gonna cry in a car, and kind of felt a type of way about it.
Yep.
Rikishi's response was this. So I'm going to read what Rikishi said. Russo, first of all, you can bleep yourself. You don't have the right to even put my son's name in your mouth. You don't have a right to talk about somebody that has laced up boots for 17 plus years, broken bones, sweat, tears, blood in that ring. Sometimes 45 minutes ladders, chairs matches split wide open. You don't have a right to open your mouth what you think is right for a person when you finally win this so-called MFing prop. When was the first time? When did you ever get your bleep in there? Run a match 45 minutes. Anybody can pull up a pencil and write your fantasies of what you think the angle is supposed to be. But when you talk about my boy, when you talk about you didn't understand your GD right, MFer, you didn't understand. He continued on. I think you get the point, but
hey man, just make sure they don't end up on the same flight together. So make sure they don't end up in baggage claim, checking in, you know what I'm saying? Just to make sure they don't end up in Delta Airlines, oh, Russo? Oh, really? For two? Yeah. Yo, separate them. Yeah, somebody's flight need to be
Offspring song. Got to keep them separated.
Man, listen. Nah, it's gonna be party up. It's gonna be party.
You ain't kidding.
Right.
There's some barking in there, that's for sure. Right. So again, what Vince Russo ultimately said, he goes, just found out why the real Rikishi is hot at me. What I said about a wrestler getting emotional over winning a title, I've said for years. And while I understand, the fact is that a writer / producer will look at something much differently than an actor or performer does. That's why they are two totally different jobs. Nothing against Rikishi or Jay. Huge fan of both. Just two different points of view. And also remember, merit isn't the only reason a belt is put on a wrestler. Some instances, there is also a little thing called politics involved. Trust me, I know. And then he continued by saying, I'm really glad this Rikishi stuff came out. Now, maybe everybody will understand why I thought it was no big deal to put the WCW title on me for 3 days. I was telling stories, and the title always has been, always will be, and is a part of the storytelling.
Yeah, what a story anyway. You know, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right, and he has no idea.
You're agreeing with Vince Russo for once?
He's absolutely right about the story. What story did you tell? You told the story of why that organization took a shit.
Well,
the story you told by putting it on David Arquette to the point where David Arquette was like, yo, I don't even think this is cool, bro. This is a practical joke.
No. Remember what happened, right? For those that remember, we have Gen Alpha, Gen Z that are
Generation X. I'm sorry.
What happened with that? Why was David Arquette given that? And what made David Arquette come to that realization?
He was about to die. That's what it's about to. That's what it's about to. Listen, death or a blank whooping will sober your thinking up really quickly. All right, we understand that it is performance art, but it's real to us. Still, remember, there's a whole contingent. All right, if I'm not mistaken, there's a presence called Still Real to Us, where certain levels of disrespect you're not gonna have. Like, for example, you can't just put anybody behind the Batman mask, right? Remember, listen, Ben Affleck realized what David Arquette realized. He was given something, but he understands, I don't care how fake this appears to be, it's real to somebody, and it really hurts the product or whatever. It really hurts the product, the brand, or the prestige of whatever this entity is if certain people assume these roles. Ben Affleck realized he played Batman. He's got FU money to everybody that was upset with him playing Batman. So you know what? He bowed out of the role. Even though it took me going to a comic book store to make an argument that Ben Affleck was actually the best Batman, the most
oh man, you're gonna get us canceled saying
the
that.
most. No. Somebody made an argument to me. It wasn't my argument, but it was compelling enough that I'd like to share it. He made the argument that Ben Affleck's Batman was the most true to the comic. It was the most literal portrayal of the comic Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting, considering everybody hated Ben Affleck for being Batman. But before I lose all of my points, David Arquette realized, hey, whatever story Vince Russo thought I could tell or whatever else, it's real to people. You know what I'm saying? It's real to people. Like, there was Ron Simmons wasn't able to keep that title for long. But comparatively speaking, when you compare Ron Simmons' tenure in WCW or tenure or years of professional wrestling, you compare that time frame to the amount of time that David Arquette was in professional wrestling, their title reigns were about the same. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
If you adjusted for inflation, that David Arquette had a title run as long as Ron Simmons. And what earth is that what story can you tell worth doing that to Ron Simmons' legacy? That's what Vince Russo was talking. Vince Russo somehow makes that make sense. You trashed it. And then let me explain to you. Let me explain to you how toxic that was. The trashing of that is the reason why Booker T got disrespected to his face when he came to WWE. But Booker T is a man of I think of incredible dignity and incredible self-respect and self-esteem that he can survive those blows because those broke certain people. Remember that. Yeah. Remember Triple H's remember the Triple H on the mic on Raw mentioning, you had that belt, mentioning who had the title, mentioning David Arquette as the champion of that belt. I mean, you could argue Vince McMahon was a much more deserving WWE champion than David Arquette. Seriously. Vince McMahon, you know what I'm saying? It makes sense. There's no excuse for that. So no story you can write could ever, while that is true from a writer's perspective, no story you could write could ever make it plausible that you have such disrespectful things to the legacy of this world that's created, of heroes, of live action comic books, of performance art or trust falls. There are certain rules that have to be respected, even inside of the Matrix, that when you disrespect them, it falls apart. Putting the belt around a character actor like David Arquette for any amount of time, putting the belt around a writer named Vince Russo for any amount of time is a total rift in the Matrix. It ruins the suspension of disbelief because nobody in their right mind believes that he could ever actually do anything worthy of being a champion. You can put it on Rey Mysterio because Rey Mysterio got some go.
Yeah, and again, for those that are unfamiliar, there's a great docuseries out there of who killed WCW.
Vince Russo did. It sounded like it.
No, it was definitely the Turner Network behind the scenes that ultimately had the final say. I feel for Eric Bischoff. I've said that a time or two. He's been gracious enough to comment on our show once or twice, I believe, and. Something I want to point out is
this was more a movie. Yeah. What? Run that back?
You don't remember that?
No.
Oh man, your mind is slipping like a.
Yeah, we know it, like that transmission.
There you go. Shout out to our host. Yeah, of course. We were talking about WCW in the past, and he happened to catch wind of it and commented on it a while back.
Beautiful. All right.
There. But yeah, so I feel for him on the business side, and basically he was asked to do 2 shows, 1 budget, and a little bit more than that. And so ultimately it was for a TV promo. When David Arquette was named champion and victorious, he went to the back behind the curtain and asked Booker T how many times he had been champion, in which Booker had said 0. And it hit him in that moment that he didn't deserve what he had. He understood the power of that. And with that being said, we will be back after these paid messages. Again, if you want your brand on this show, email the shopreport365@gmail.com. We'll see you soon.
SK Cunningham, you watching the Shop Report. I'm Harvey Diallo, and you watching the Shop Report.
My name's Chris Murray, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Oh, you're Jay Knight, you're watching the Shop Report.
Max McKee, you're dropping in on the Shop Report.
Barbershop Jay, Quentin Hines, Super Bowl champion. I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm on.
Hi, I'm Mars Edwards from Mercury Stadium, and you're watching the Shock Report.
Hey, I'm Billy Butler, and thank you for watching the Shock Report. Hey guys, I'm Les Norman, former Kansas City Royal, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Commander Brown, Detroit Rivers Mountain Training, and I'm watching the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Doug Flynn of the New York Mets. Well, a few other teams, of course, too. And you're watching the Shop Report.
I'm Matt Ramos, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? I'm Rajay Davis, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? This is Nelson Figueroa, former Major League pitcher with a lot of teams. You're about to listen to the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Howard Johnson. You're watching the Shop Report.
What it do, sports fans? It's your man BSJ from the Shop Report. And guess what? The shop is now open for business, baby. If you're on Facebook, go to our fan page, The Shop Report, click on More, and then Shop to view all products. Or if you're on Instagram, click on the Shop tab to see all our products. I mean, what you want me to do? I'm selling merch here.
Cleaning the cracks on your pavement surfaces can take hours and be torturous on your body. Until now. Cracky Weed Removal Tool was designed specifically to clean pavement cracks in a fraction of the time, all while standing up. Cracky's patented design incorporates a two-sided steel blade and is encased by a durable fiberglass shell. Simply use the large end to clean big gaps, then rotate and use the small tip for narrow gaps. Made in the USA, Cracky eliminates weeds to the root and is environmentally friendly. Cracky, save your back while you clean your crack.
All right, and just like that, we are back and better than ever. And take a look at that. It is 23-20. The Jets are using their final timeout as we speak. While we wait, of course, for these conclusive numbers, there is a lot, of course, to break down on the fantasy side. Great week. It looks like another L coming for the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines, not happy. But if you were a potential Josh Allen owner, a lot of Buffalo owners, Garrett Wilson had a great game. You are in probably a fantastic mood right now and likely on your way to a victory Tuesday. So we will continue to go through that. Of course, if you have any future start sit questions for next week or waiver wire additions, then, of course, by all means, feel free to add us, DM us, all the above. And we'll certainly be more than willing to get into those and incorporate them, certainly in the Saturday show as well, if we don't get to them throughout the week. And
yeah.
Wanted to point this out to you guys. Let's see. How do you feel first, Gully, that Raw was pre-recorded?
It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. But it's interesting why it does. I mean, if we're at home and you're not in the city, why does it matter that you're watching it pre-recorded? But it does matter. See, the 83 weeks is important because, well, of the things, of the different, of what we learned or what we got out of the 83 weeks that WCW led to Monday Night Wars is that they had a live program. Why did it matter for people watching at home? I don't know. Because you at home.
Oh, so stop it. That's why we're live and not pre-recorded.
Right, but I'm saying, but it matters though. It does. Why it matters and you're at home? Like I was in Cleveland, Ohio for all 83 weeks that WCW was beat Raw in the Monday Night Wars. That means of the times that either WCW or WWF made it to Gund Arena, I still was at home. When they were in St. Louis, Missouri, I still was at home. When they were in Atlanta and in Greensboro, North Carolina, whatever, I still was at home. Why did it matter to me that WCW Nitro was live over a taped WWF Raw when I was still at home in Cleveland, Ohio every Monday? I don't know why it mattered, but it did. But it does. I don't know why it matters. I think it's like it's psychology. It's a study in psychology, but it does matter.
Absolutely.
The fact that it is pre-recorded, is kind of a could be a foreboding sign, right? Of TKO being a fan of the product, but not a respecter of what it means of how the product made you a fan. So when a conglomerate company buys a family-owned business, the flavor changes. It often happens. And often when it happens, it don't hit the same no more. You talked about Turner and AOL Time Warner, that merger. And
which I want to remind you is a minority stakeholder in AEW currently, which is now like WB Discovery, that type of thing.
Okay. Minority stakeholder. So they there to collect a check if it works out, but they're not there with as heavy a hand into try to make that and try to influence this and try to influence the money being made.
Basically, they can't do what occurred in the past, which is
they can't destroy the product.
Negative budgets over
Right.
to the one product. Correct.
Okay.
But it is in their best interest now for the product to actually do well.
Exactly. TKO loves WWE. They love the product that it is. But do they respect the process that it took for that product to become lovable? Do they respect or have an interest in what it took for WWE to be a household name? I don't know. Because a sports entertainment, it isn't sport. Okay. Other businesses, other sports. Well, like I said, Vincent McMahon is one of the 3 most influential people of the 21st century, in my opinion. It's because the sports entertainment narrative-driven storylines has found its way in all aspects of pop culture in ways that it wasn't before. Not in the 50s, not in the 60s, not in the 70s. In the 80s, in the 90s, and 2000s. Sports narratives supplanting the actual stories that are played within the games of the sports that we love. Our baseball, our hockey, our basketball, our football, our NASCAR, our golf, our badminton, you get what I'm saying? The WWE narrative that drives The Rock versus Stone Cold and the Big Show and the Kane and the Undertaker and the Shawn Michaels and the Bret Hart and the infamous incident in Montreal screw job, the curtain call, so on and so forth. All of that is a reflection of what WWE and the creative vision has let's say generated or has compelled or made interesting for the rest of sports. It's hard to borrow from other sports to place in the WWE. From a creative side, from a business model side, I think it's even harder. See, because here's what I'm saying. Like I said to you, Raw's been live for how long? Raw stopped being pre-recorded in response to them getting trashed for 83 weeks.
So let me ask you, right? Because these are on the heels of the AEW ratings being down, right? No different than our earlier segment mentioning what Eric Bischoff said
right,
with the new show, but they're losing on Tuesdays to NXT.
Yep. NXT is not live. NXT is live?
It is occasionally.
Okay. They're losing the NXT. See, this is what I'm saying. I don't know. We have to understand just how big the WWE brand is. It is so big that its minor leagues are big. So people look at NXT as WWE Light or WWE Junior. They still look at it as the big boys. Now, understand, right? What the fans get, they get the smaller, more intimate audiences that TNA provide, or that WCW Saturday Night used to provide, those kind of like more intimate closing audiences. But then you're getting the heavyweights. You're getting Randy Orton to show up. You're getting CM Punk to show up. You're getting Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair to show up. You're getting the top tier talent to show up at the development time. But you still know it's WWE. It's like, look, I don't know what happened to the brand. It was my favorite brand. But you knew when you bought a Scion, you was buying a Toyota. You knew that you were buying a Toyota.
But are you getting displaced value now? So you mentioned why we've gone away from pre-recordings.
Right.
But now, okay, this is on the heels, right, of, okay, if we can't bet on this currently. Now, if you recall, I could have sworn there was some kind of verbiage that was going to open that possibility up in the future.
Okay.
But this was, that was months ago. Again, those that are watching, please in the comments, if this along with any of your thoughts, by all means, we are of the people, not above the people. So
yeah, tell me I'm wrong or tell me I'm right. Hey, I wouldn't mind that. But you can tell me I'm wrong. You can tell me anything. Tell me about my sleepy eyes again, because I know that's been the talk of the town in the last few weeks, and it probably will remain. But that's okay. I'm cool with it. I'm okay.
Hey, the fact that I even have any vision currently after those 2 10-hour drives in 72 hours is fantastic.
You run straight off of adrenaline, my guy. So
literally, and it's viewer support. That's what it is. That's what it is, right? That's shameless. So I'm mentioning all of this because I'm being kind of the business guru.
Yep.
I'm looking at it and saying to myself, well, we have the Ultimate Fighter. We could do that with this. Well, we don't have a Monday night rival anymore. Okay, we're overseas. We can take the circus out of the town and we can maximizing productivity, right? When you become a part of a group, an ownership group, okay, I'm not there anymore. So my investment is meant to be profitable.
Right.
I had to pay X, which is why Vince is able to do whatever he wants to do today.
Right.
And I'm now putting some people in charge to have this as passive income.
Right.
Fantastic. Wonderful on the surface. I hope to get there one day. Barbershop Jay, on the other hand, that's, as you saw in the Discord, that's his goal already. You and I will be here. He'll be on the farm.
Discord. He ain't put that in the ad, man. He put that out there too.
Everybody. I'm going to be on the farm. And you two are going to be here.
Yeah, he put it out there to everybody. I love it. That's how I love it. Yo, he went full Jerry Krause. Listen, I'm breaking up this team at the end of the season. I don't care what they do. I don't care.
He told us this is the last dance.
This is it. This is it. He told us, everybody. He was like, yo, I'm out of here. I'm on my plane. I'm about taking this book. Yo, at the end of the 12 months, that's it. Yo, I love it. I absolutely love it.
At what point did we say we took that personally?
Right today. He told everybody. He called us. He was like, "Yo, man, I think y'all need to."
He sent us some facts.
Yes, yeah. He was like, "Yo."
I just put out my water. Oh,
everybody. PJ, he told everybody. Yo,
that was like a Dennis Green level rant.
Oh man,
it was up there with the best of them. That is for sure.
Right.
So that's what happens when you're the boss, ladies and gentlemen. We are mere savants and servants for that matter, peasants in some cases.
He put us on notice in epic fashion. Like, I love that, bro. I love that. I love it. That's why we family, man. I absolutely love that. Like, yo, IDGAF.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you know, you don't tell you know, so it ain't no surprise. Our fans know, everybody know.
That's right.
Yo, so we're gonna make this run. We're gonna make this run to this time. Huh?
No, I was doing my Stewie impression. You got till 12 o'clock.
Right, up to 12 o'clock. You have 24 hours. Right.
Right.
Oh no, man, not side.
So TKO's looking at this entirely different. I said it. I'm like, goodbye house shows. Again, there's a lot of opportunity if you have the deeper pockets, but it is a long-term strategy for Tony Khan and AEW and Shane O'Mac, all the above. I would probably get Vince, the other Vince, which is Russo. I'd probably get him to join the circus too. And
what circus? Which circus?
The AEW product.
Oh,
dude, I would literally put people in a room that can't be in a room together.
Well, why would you put him?
Because that's look, what we got in the past, all of us watching right now, is currently the bar. It has been what everyone has been chasing ever since.
Okay.
Why did that happen? Well, look at the minds that were in there and look how they could not stand one another.
All right, all right, go ahead. Put Jim Cornette back there. He won't come back. He won't come back. He said he won't come back. He'll just talk about it. I'm not dealing with nobody.
That in itself is a show. And I think potentially I think we're ready for that.
We're ready for what?
Look, that's my type of innovative thinking is that, let's just blast a hole in the back. Peek behind behind the curtain.
Yeah.
As well. Separately, right? Again, there's a reason here. So again, we look at things like the Ultimate Fighter and how you can take a page from that with NXT. Additionally, Sean's done a fantastic job over there. I will absolutely give him his flowers on this. But Raw going pre-recorded while they're overseas, it's very strange to me, dude, that merely 2 shows ago for the turnbuckle side of things, I said, what if you only start going kind of over there? And I didn't really put out the idea or this concept, but it makes sense. If you're unrivaled, why not?
Right.
Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we move this to the UFC Apex or to the facility in Tampa? Why wouldn't we limit these PLEs to a sold to the highest bidder process throughout the globe?
Right, but see, that's what
does that do to the product and to the storyline? That's my problem, Gully. I don't believe it impacts it.
Okay, you say that. All right, but so the question I have for you is, couldn't WWE have done that before TKO? Couldn't they have moved to this model before TKO? Because this model does create a cost savings, right? Among other things. So WWE could have done this themselves. They could have pre-recorded when they go overseas. They could have scaled back on the amount of talent that they have to pay for, providing that talent performs at premium live events. All of these scaling measures that we see enacted by TKO, WWE could have done. I don't get an indication that WWE was interested in doing this when they when it was Vince McMahon run and owned. I don't get an indication of that. Secondly, we understand its effect. When AOL Time Warner was in charge of WCW, there were two things at play. One, they ultimately didn't like the product and needed to find a reason for them to get rid of it. But canceling something that could have been making money because you don't like it is how to get yourself fired in 30 days, right? So to destroy the product by saying, hey, let's try these ideas that we know don't work, but because we're your bosses and you're the wrestling guy, make our ideas work in the realm of professional wrestling that don't make sense in the world of professional wrestling. Oh, well, you can't make our ideas that shouldn't work at all in professional wrestling work in professional wrestling. So you know what? We're gonna get rid of the product, which is what AOL Time Warner effectively did. They handicapped Eric Bischoff with demands and ideas that shouldn't have worked in professional wrestling and told him he have to make it work in professional wrestling because it's all scripted anyway. And then it didn't work, and then they fired him. And then the company failed because they didn't want the company anyway. We know how people can trash something that they want to get rid of and then write it off as a loss. We see that a lot, right? Remember the Batman movie that got shelved? The Batgirl movie that got shelved so the company could write it down as a loss. Okay? You have TKO looking at the commodity that is WWE, and as enthusiastic as they might be, it's still a commodity. So certain commoditizing ideas may not fit well, even if you think it should, because hey, we in sports, we're in combat sports, we're in real sports. There's a whole aspect of reality that is different than professional wrestling. The audience is viewing it the audience views this differently. Right? The audience views this differently. The audience have a different understanding. I don't know. It may sound like I'm contradicting myself, but the audience respected Brock Lesnar in UFC and respected Brock Lesnar in WWE. They knew when he came to WWE, we knew we were going to get something different out of him than we did when we saw him winning heavyweight titles. Even though it's the same person, he's in different realms. So trying to put the behaviors and the philosophies and the commoditizing ideas of one realm behind another realm, just because you should be able to, just because this is a commodity, we know how to build brands. You can try that, but WWE Universe, they exist as a unique thing. And so they have a different respect for it. I'm telling you, pre-recorded Raw doesn't sit well. It might work in the long run, but it don't sit well. Even if you're sitting at home. That's what the point I made.
Is that because it's on a cable network, or would that still be okay? As you just said, well, I have Peacock and I can't maybe watch the live show. So maybe as it pertains to...
You want to have a feeling that you're seeing something as it happens. Even though you like, all right, put it like this.
But if it's hang on a second.
The Super Bowl.
The
Super Bowl was pre-recorded. Remember, the NBA Finals used to be
pre-recorded. No, you can't do that with the Super Bowl.
Oh, yes, you can. It's the Super Bowl. Oh, man, bro. Okay, yeah. The Guardians lost to the Yankees today. Imagine if that game was on tape delay.
And it used to be. And there were still people that watched.
Right. But how many more people are watching? Are more people watching that is live? or more people watching
Hey, look,
because of the stick delay?
an ESPN and Sports Center would have never been necessary
What?
if everyone could make it and tune in at any given time. TiVo, DVR, none of those things would have ever existed.
You have different regions.
There wasn't a need. So what I'm pointing out with this is that by going to a streaming platform,
yep,
you talk about access. Yes, it might be a world premiere. I'll go real throwback MTV.
Okay.
But we see this with the new era of sitcoms and others on Netflix and that type of thing. Look, this episode just dropped at this time, midnight on Tuesday, etc. And no one's saying, "Oh my gosh, that wasn't live." If you're creating it as a show, when we watch The Ultimate Fighter, are we saying that's not live? I can't believe this.
No,
Conor McGregor's drinking scotch in Ireland right now. He's not at the Apex.
You never had an expectation that it would be. That's the point. You never had the expectation that it would be. So they never gave you the expectation that it would be, such that whenever they did go live, why was it such a big deal that they would say, hey, this is live, this is live, this is live? Why are the result shows for America's Got Talent blasting you in the face with saying, hey, this is live, results show live,
Gully,
even
what
though
did it create though? Why? This is how we got here. This is what I'm saying. This is the new era. The new era, what is new is actually old. What is old is new again.
Yeah, all right. It's going to get old real fast.
We're resetting some expectations right now.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, reset.
But here's the thing. What happens when it is
like
live?
Nintendo game and the screen start flashing?
What happens when we say it is live? We live, baby. Where's Dan Rue? Dancing Dan Rue. Nick Paddywhack. That's the emphasis of the premium live events.
Gotcha.
That's now your access and your tonight. So not just tonight, but
tonight.
That's right. Now there's more importance than ever before to be there. The FOMO couldn't be higher. We are FOMOing at the mouth.
Yo. Yo.
Shop Report After Dark.
Yo. Yo.
hey, that Brandy's getting to you, huh? Lucia, he's got the Lucia. Hey, so
yo, I was not ready for that.
No, I keep you on your toes with this show. Speaking of keeping you on your toes, let's get right into this Raw. Look at this here. We got another Cody Rhodes returns to Raw, and can you believe it? Spoken like a true secondary champion. Gunther to Cody Rhodes. So Gunther.
Who's the secondary champ?
Gunther said that to Cody.
He called Gunther called Cody the secondary champ?
Yes, sir. And then Cody, of course, responds with, I beat the most dominating champion in company history, and I have already slain a frightening beast.
So he invoked Brock Lesnar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, I have two ways for that. This match is actually a great way to create a collision course to up the validity of either of those guys in their championship run. Though it is
Hold on.
Yeah.
That is now the second. Okay, look, the two is just merely a coincidence, but I don't believe in coincidences. Brock Lesnar reference again, D Gully.
Who you talking about? Me?
I'm talking about what Cody said.
Wait a minute, you said that's the second one.
Yes, that is the second time they brought up Brock Lesnar indirectly.
What was the first?
Last week. Or last week.
What did he say last week?
And that's why I was saying, I mentioned to you, that was on SmackDown, but that's why I was mentioning to you that I think this thing is potentially real. Like, it's going to happen. And now I'm thinking Crown Jewel. Brock Lesnar to Crown Jewel. I don't write this stuff. I've been right on a few things. You guys in the comments, feel free. Like, if there's some momentum here, the Shane McMahon thing felt like I was really out on a limb over the Niagara Falls. And now I'm sitting pretty comfy on, in the Hilton over there. I think there's a Marriott rather. But now they bring him up again. Remember, I told you the other name that couldn't be said, but he was previously it was like flirting with one of those.
Right.
Couldn't say it. Now it sounds like you can, and now they are. So which is it? What do you make of that? Is it simply coincidence?
His name is still worthy of mentioning when you want to elevate his competition, right? Roman Reigns at once upon a time couldn't surpass Brock, and he eventually did. Cody was thought to be fodder for The Rock, but he was far more than fodder. He actually beat him. So his presence and his name and his reputation for the business is important because he was an anchor by which the next best competitor would have to conquer in order to reach that plateau. How did you fare against Brock? How did you fare against the most dominant physical performer, most dominant physical, most imposing physical performer in the company's history to date? How did you fare against him? That's a barometer. That's a test for your greatness. How did you fare against Brock? Could you beat Brock? Did you outlast Brock? Could you make Brock? Did you beat Brock? Did you outlast him? Did you look good against Brock? He's the barometer. So because he was such important to elevating your next big star, it's hard to just dismiss that. It's hard to just not have it there, have that vanish. Even if he doesn't come back. Maybe he does. I don't know if he does or if he shouldn't. I don't want to get into that because I'm not sure yet if I haven't seen all the details of the purported reason why he hasn't been around. So saying, do I want to see him back? Let's just say his presence is missed, certainly because of what his presence was for WWE, for the product, but just leaving it in that container. How important he was to the story, to the narrative of WWE and the World Championship and the Universal Championship. To segue all of this into what we see in the screenshot. For Cody Rhodes to beat the Beast Incarnate, to beat the Tribal Chief, and then to beat the next biggest, the next biggest figure in the title landscape, in the main event landscape, that does do remarkably for how we look at his title run, even though his title isn't on the line. Even though either's title isn't on the line.
Oh, stop. Stop.
What you mean?
We're not going to overlook this run.
No, I'm not overlooking it. I'm saying, even though this is a non-title matchup, he's only in the, even though he can't lose his title or he can't win the title, it's not a title unification match. The only reason why we're seeing this match, you know, has the WWE, has the universe created the reality for us, we're only seeing this because he is a champion. So this does happen because he is the champion. If Cody Rhodes is not the champion, is he meeting Gunther at this time? No, he isn't. What is he doing? I don't know what he's doing. But he's likely not meeting Gunther. So because he's champion, we're getting to see this. So this does, in a way, also help to embellish his title run, or how we look at his title run. Imagine if he beats Gunther.
Who's this matter more to? Who needs to get over more?
Actually, I'd like to think Cody does, but no, Cody's over in ways that I wasn't aware of. I would say maybe Gunther needs it more.
Wait a minute. So Gunther's beat Randy Orton.
Yep.
Obviously, we know you named a lot of the notable victories that Cody's had, but from a title vantage point, who needs it?
I say Cody.
I do too. Absolutely, I do. And
see, they weren't throwing chickens in the ring at Gunther.
Yeah, we can't forget that.
Yeah. So Cody does.
Wow.
Cody does.
Does that set up better? First of all, I think Crown Jewel is going to be fantastic.
You do?
Largely because of this and potentially, again, a return. I don't know what to make of the fact that coincidentally where it's located and the impact of, again, some of the other circumstances that you mentioned, that are looming. So I'll just kind of leave that out of the mix, but it would make sense in that respect.
Okay.
Yep. And then to take it a step further, I've really gone through Cody's title reign ad nauseum, lack thereof, and just being honest about how those guys have currently scheduled him, and it felt like a lot of softballs for that matter. So I look at this and say, as much as it really would be great for both of them in their own respects, it absolutely matters in the immediate to Cody more than it does to Gunther, but and I would say in both the short and the long term, because I believe what Gunther will become as we reach the end of the decade and beyond, as he furthers his career, it will begin to weigh even more and mean more as time goes on, with what achievements will likely be met. But unfortunately, I can't overlook it. I'm trying to, because Cody was seen in a Manchester City jersey, and I was naturally was very pleased with that. It also sounds like he did weigh in on the possibility of bringing some PLEs over to the UK and specifically to England. So we'll see what comes of that. But any final thoughts on that before we move on to the next segment within tonight's Raw?
I'll restate: a win for Cody versus Gunther helps his championship run immeasurably. Even though Cody is over with the fans more so than I thought he was, even up until this point, he still needs this more. However, a win for Gunther creates a new feud that I think I think has a potential to be a great tide over until they figure out where Roman is going to get himself back into the world title picture. You know, imagine a scenario where Gunther drops the world championship to Roman, but then Gunther somehow becomes in a title for title feud or whatnot, or a title chase feud back and forth with Cody for the Universal Championship.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned those particular players, because there was something we'll get into that I think furthers that possibility. And one of the dominoes that occurred this evening as well was none other than Seth frickin' Rollins.
Oh, Sethy.
He was speaking with Adam Pearce, and of course, he had some very candid things to say. I've slayed the beast. I've conquered the king. What about the monster next? So again,
another Brock Lesnar reference.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so like this is not Voldemort anymore, because you know that.
But I mean, we have to take it to the dark place. What does that mean about his? We've got to ask, because that's the immediate question I think on the minds of everyone whenever he's invoked, right? Why haven't we seen him on television? Right? It's because of his alleged role in a very serious issue.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So if you're going to say his name now, I have the feeling that there's something more about his role in that issue that's not being revealed or that was misconstrued, such that you're comfortable now invoking him such that he will return.
Agreed. And that's how I'm interpreting that as well. I think it is merely timing.
Yeah.
There's got to be something to it. I think the fact that Crown Jewel, where it takes place, and you know, again, that's where I was referencing why it could be possible in the short term. Just, you know, but overall, I think there had to have been something that occurred behind the scenes. Those that are, you know, aware on the inside or just from some perspective on the outside, by all means, let us know as well from your end and what you guys think is really the catalyst behind this. I do want to point this out. Later in the show, we had a title defense that, unfortunately, again, Bianca and Jade beat EO and of course, as they have, but it was by way of interference, right?
Okay.
Gully, I think if you remember a while back, you kind of said, hey, that they're going to turn on one another.
Yeah, that's what I've been waiting for.
I think the wait is almost over.
Really?
Additionally, I think Damage Control is the better group. Currently. So I think it does line up that, like, I'm frustrated from a fan base. And then they're going to also kind of turn on one another, which should be dynamic. You got any thoughts on that?
No, I've been kind of waiting for it. the longer it's been teased or hinted at, or maybe not even hinted at, the more cringe worthy I am, because I kind of hate to see it happen, even though I kind of want to see it happen. You get what I'm saying? Like create, I'm gonna hate to see it happen, but I actually am interested in seeing it happen. But yeah, that's really all I got.
Absolutely. So speaking of all you got, Braun Breaker.
Yep.
Your family can't save you, in reference to Jey Uso. Now, hang on, because there's more. But
all
wait, there's more. Here is ultimately what more looked like. Backstage, get a glimpse of Jay going to Jimmy.
Yep.
So you talked about Roman. These two haven't talked in a while. What do we got next? What's the next domino to fall here?
They patch it up and they go on another title run. I think the tag team title division needs them big. Hold on. Right, man. No, I think the title run. I think it needs them bigly.
Hey, so
they were the greatest tag team ever. You've never seen anything like it. I'll never see anything like it again. I think the Usos are the best tag team that I've ever seen. And no one's gonna ever be able to do anything like them ever again. Nope, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. They're the best ever. Sorry, that's my Donald Trump for the day.
Fair enough. And so additionally, I did want to point out it is confirmed, of course, the War Raiders are back, not the Viking Raiders any longer. They did go on to defeat the Alpha Academy, or this version of Alpha Academy. Dude, there's signs that say free Otis. It's bad now. So anything?
Good congratulations for the War Raiders. Nothing much. Let's see what they can do.
Fair enough. And so moving right along, we had, of course, The Miz defeating R-Truth. And of course, as you see, The Miz's new faction threw R-Truth back in for The Miz to once again finish him. And that was that. Any additional insight?
Finish R-Truth. Now they can get on to it.
There we go.
Man, I tell you what. I want to find a safe space to do this. I have an idea for a wrestler.
Really? Okay. Do tell.
I have an idea. All right. I feel like Big E could pull it off. All right. You have him warming up. You're coming backstage. And something happens. He gets like injured, gets like a head injury, like a concussion or something, right? And when he comes to, he's in the room somehow surrounded by several elements of wrestling in the 80s. And his head is so gone, he thinks he's back then. So his moveset is reflective a lot of the wrestlers from the 80s. And what happens is he comes in and and his name is Flex Retro, right? And so he think he's back then, and so he wrestles like back then, like the high standing suplexes, the press body slams. I'm not certain if these moves have been banned because they were inherently unsafe, but we find the tropes of wrestling from the 80s, but it done in a tasteful way, so much as it looks more like a playful, like a roast, versus like a real bad character like the Disrespect. But he's all 80s. His name is Flex Retro. He's got like, he'll wear like he'll have the ropes around, his shoulders and his bicep. He'll have the ties around there and wear the headband, kind of like the retro wrestlers. And look, and his theme song, he comes out to Gap Band, You Dropped a Bomb on Me. That's an arena type song. Imagine that at pay-per-view, you get Flex Retro versus R-Truth for whatever reason. Or you get Flex Retro versus The Miz versus like a lower or mid card. You get Flex Retro versus Braun Breaker. But you had this guy with all these tropes, but he's still a good body and he's still a performer, but he sells it on it. Maybe he's trying to figure out like the stuff he's doing. Maybe he's trying to figure it out, but it doesn't work. So what happens is he'll try these moves from the 80s, and like his competition, they no sell him. They'll no sell on him. And so he can't figure out what's going on. And he tries it again. And they just no sell because what is he doing? But he actually has some power. He actually has a strike. He actually has a move set. What do you think?
It is rumored that Big E could be cleared. So this whole repackaging very well could be real. And so absolutely. I can't. Naturally, I don't know what creative control you have behind the curtain, but that concept could grow some wheels here.
I could try it on. I could try it on maybe WWE 2K24. I just look through the 80s, and I say 80s, not even 90s, like the 80s move sets, right? And try to grab the best from the 80s. And see what I can do with it. You know what I'm saying? Because Big E, as big as a guy as he is, like I don't think he's fairly tall.
Right.
He seems like he's like 6 feet, maybe 6'1" at best. But he's huge though.
Absolutely. And so additionally, just to conclude Raw here quickly, Anna Pierce did announce that, because of course Finn was, wanting to fight Priest again. But that basically there's going to be a tournament to go against to be the number one contenders against these two. Just, kind of reporting the news here. Then, of course, lastly, we had a few things here. Of course, Braun Breaker had defeated Kofi. Xavier tried to help him, didn't work out, and then Yeet came and finished him off there. And then our main event was, of course, Liv and Raquel versus, to probably the no surprise of anybody, that duo. Oh, I should have said this. I should have mentioned this from earlier, but Rhea and Tiffany Stratton were going against, Liv and Raquel, but it started with Tiffany saying, stay out of Nia's way. So, kind of interestingly enough, we'll see what further develops if truly Tiffy time will be on time as well. So, again, I will point out here, Jimmy was there to convince Jay for help. Jay says no. So essentially the Bloodline family cinema is alive and well. But that match concluded with, of course, the victory, and that is intentional imagery. So, any final thoughts on tonight's Raw before the pre-recorded Raw, mind you, just for one more cinematic effect? Before we go to your rapid fire segment on next week's scheduled matches. I think that's fair enough as well.
Yeah. Let's go.
All right. So we'll take a quick 20-second timeout.
Yep.
Then we will jump into next week's announced rapid fire segment.
Yep.
And then we will conclude with Name That Superstar. And we will see you after this.
Cleaning the cracks on your pavement surfaces can take hours and be torturous on your body. Until now. Cracky Weed Removal Tool was designed specifically to clean pavement cracks in a fraction of the time, all while standing up. Cracky's patented design incorporates a two-sided steel blade and is encased by a durable fiberglass shell. Simply use the large end to clean big gaps, then rotate and use the small tip for narrow gaps. Made in the USA, Cracky eliminates weeds to the root and is environmentally friendly. Cracky, save your back while you clean your crack.
What it do, sports fans? It's your man BSJ from the Shop Report. And guess what? The shop is now open for business, baby. If you're on Facebook, go to our fan page, The Shop Report, click on More, and then Shop to view all products. Or if you're on Instagram, click on the Shop tab to see all our products. I mean, what you want me to do? I'm selling merch here.
I'm Jordan Gudeman, and I'm the founder and CEO of Eddie G's Cookies. I was first diagnosed with a nut allergy when I was young. At the time, there weren't a lot of labeled items that said if there may contain nuts or there are nuts in the food, so my brother and sister and I baked a lot at home, and we enjoyed treats from mixes and things like that, but I noticed that it was not the same as what my friends were enjoying, and I started making up my own recipes. When it was time to pick a career, I decided to start a bakery so I could share my treats with everybody else. When I started creating my recipe, I was taking in all the things that I thought I was missing out on. A soft, chewy center, a crisp outside crust, and a taste that is just like it came out of the oven at a bakery. When I put all those things together, I had come up with a recipe for a dream cookie. Eddie G's Cookies only uses the finest ingredients. We have all natural flavorings, no preservatives, and every cookie is made in a nut-free environment. The best part about Eddie G's Cookies is that they can be delivered right to your door. You can share them or not. We won't tell.
All right, and just like that, we are back with the rapid fire segment. So again, just for those that are new to the program, this is a quick who you got and why, and then we will jump into the final portion of the show, which will be Name That Superstar. And of course, you can beat D Gully to the punch in the comment sections across all of those platforms. Give us your thoughts, and of course, we will show them on the screen.
All right, I'm ready. Final
Let's
stretch.
do it.
Do
Announced for next week's Raw is an IC title matchup between Yeet, Jey Uso, and Braun Breaker. D Gully, who you got and why?
I'm taking Jey Uso to retain with unlikely help from Jey Uso to retain. I was going to say unlikely help from Jimmy.
So do you think disqualification or you think pinfall?
don't know. But yeah, that's the way I see it.
Fair enough. And moving right along, we have, of course, those World Tag Team Championship #1 contenders tournament. So the first round matches would be the New Day versus the Authors of Pain. Who you got and why?
Who I got and why? Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, American Made, Authors of Pain, New Day. My bad. I was zooming right in on it off the camera. Give me on the left side. Give me Authors of Pain. On the right, American Made versus Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. American Made versus the New Day. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah. That's what I'm rolling with. I need to put them on the thread so that way people can mark my progress and know that I really just pick them. I don't really be cheating.
Absolutely. And so it'll be interesting to see how this ultimately plays out between those two. Any final thoughts from you on just this evening's Raw before we get into Name That Superstar?
All right. Hold on. Damn. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with my picks, man.
Good deal. All right. We will be right back after these messages with the final.
Stay there. We'll be right back.
Literally.
SK Cunningham, you watching the Shop Report. I'm Homie Diallo, and you watching the Shop Report.
My name's Chris Murray, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Oh, you're Jay Knight, you're watching the Shop Report.
Max McKee, you're dropping in on the Shop Report.
Barbershop Jay, Quentin Hines, Super Bowl champion. I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm on.
Hi, I'm Mars Edwards from Mercury Stadium, and you're watching the Shock Report.
Hey, I'm Billy Butler, and thank you for watching the Shop Report. Hey guys, I'm Les Norman, former Kansas City Royal, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Commander Brown, Detroit Rivers Mountain Training, and I'm watching the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Doug Flynn of the New York Mets. Well, a few other teams, of course, too. And you're watching the Shop Report.
I'm Matt Ramos, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? I'm Rajay Davis, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? This is Nelson Figueroa, former Major League pitcher with a lot of teams. You're about to listen to the Shop Report. Hey, this is Howard Johnson. You're watching the Shop Report.
All right.
Here it goes. D Gully.
Yes, sir.
We
Let's jump
have
right into it.
an
You got two.
individual. Okay.
All right. Yep.
So I have to actually doctor this image
Okay.
a little in order to just try and make it a little bit more difficult here. Because actually what we're looking for is not what may immediately come to mind, but instead one of his various personalities or how he was rebranded.
All right, bet.
So give me just a moment here on this.
Okay.
See if we can... No, it may not allow me to do it. Let's see. There we go. Maybe. All right. And then. All right. So just for some added clarity, this individual is a part of the Attitude Era, and I would give the date range of 1996 to 1999, but then this particular gimmick, if you will, would come near the conclusion of that. So like Juvenile, the 99 and the 2000. Here we go. D Gully, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Name that superstar.
Headbanger Smash. No, not Smash. Smash. Thrash and Headbanger. Hold on. Headbanger. Shoot. Hold on. Wait. Which one is it? I say it's not Smash. Hold on. Shit. Headbangers. He's the Headbangers for sure. What was it? Thrash and Mosh. Headbanger Mosh?
You're actually correct with who he was with the original gimmick.
Right. Oh, yeah, he was rebranded. Oh, Headbanger Mosh. Wait a minute. He wasn't the baseball guy, was he?
He was not.
No. He was rebranded in the Attitude Era. Headbanger Mosh. But that's what you gave me. That's how you okay. That's the slider with that's the change up right there. I read the pitch and then it dipped on me. When he was rebranded Headbanger Mosh. What was he rebranded as? That name that he was rebranded as slips to me, but I know the character. God, I know who the guy is.
Well,
right.
Can you describe the character? If it helps at all, okay, he had a valet.
So wait a minute. Even in the Attitude Era, he was rebranded, or he was rebranded out of the Attitude Era?
Well, technically, 99 into the 2000s still would have been within those parameters.
Those would have been Attitude Era.
Yes, absolutely. So this is because of an injury to his, of course, Headbanger's teammate. He had no choice. And this is one of those head scratchers that could only have existed in the Attitude Era with what he would become. In which case, if it helps, you know what? I'll throw in an additional clue here, and I'll give you two.
All right.
This is phenomenal. This is fantastic. He was offered Mother's Milk.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers album?
No. This gimmick would only last 1 month.
Bro.
The video in black and white.
Black and white.
A famous, otherwise known as a famous 60s, 50s television series.
Oh, 50s television series. Beaver Cleaver or something?
Beaver Cleavage is what we were looking for. In which, of course, Mrs. Cleavage would offer some mother's milk as a reward for him.
Yeah. Remember, you know what? The over-sexualization of wrestling in that time, it missed me. Well,
and that's why
I wasn't a choir boy. Yeah, I wasn't a choir boy, but it was like, it missed me because it's like, okay, this isn't really, even as a fantasy, there's only certain depths that this could go. First of all. Second of all, it's a fantasy and it's wrestling. I can't vibe with it. Like, I was not a big fan of that. Beaver
Correct. Well, again, I know you weren't. And for that reason, let's see here. I'm gonna get you another. I already have him ready.
Okay.
Let's see here if I can. Once again, I'm going to open the image and semi-doctor. This one is not nearly as difficult. I mean, the last one he literally had was wearing the Headbangers like t-shirt.
Okay.
So it was a little bit more difficult.
Right.
This individual, and name that superstar, okay, is going to be potentially quite a bit more challenging, as always.
All right.
I give you a softball to get you ready, and then this one's going to be a little bit harder.
All right.
So this individual had a very influential career in NWA and then ultimately in WWF. This individual would also be an inspiration to RVD.
Okay. Inspiration to RVD. For RVD.
Now, he also has a Big Ten tie-in with a background that was in, as you'll see here, it won't be any kind of guess, but of course, this particular gimmick would not last. And again, this is from the 80s.
Oh,
absolutely is right. Absolutely is right. And so we're not going to quite. So before I'm going to try to get you, what would that be here? It would be the golden era. So, of course, the golden era being a decade. So, again, I'm not going to make it easy. And, of course, unfortunately for this individual, he is no longer with us, which is why I now began to choose these types of individuals in order to shed some light on those of the past.
Sure. Okay.
And, all right. So, without further ado, let me get this image up for you. Where did it? Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. And there it is.
All right, I'm ready. I don't see nothing yet.
D Gully. Name that superstar.
Oh, Chris Candido.
What?
Chris Candido?
No.
Oh, he's not hold on. You say he's no longer with us.
Yep. He was gone by 1990.
Oh, he was gone by 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And as seen here in his gymnastics gear.
Yeah.
And shout out to Juan for checking in on the meta side of things on the Facebook side.
Yeah, for sure. Juan. Okay. Shout out Juan. Big up Juan.
And in the meantime, Mike Gully is thinking
gone by 1990. Dang, I thought it was
1990. That's right. Fly by night.
Wow. And it ain't Dino Bravo.
Nope. Again, he influenced Rob Van Dam to pursue a pro wrestling career.
Yo, you got me, man. I don't even have any guess. I don't even have a remote.
Well, now, wait a minute. I'm going to help you out here a little bit further. Vince McMahon wanted to create a character that utilized his gymnastics background and cat-like reflexes. So, of course, this individual would end up having a mask. Heavy emphasis on the cat-like reflexes.
Wait a minute. Tiger Lee?
Almost.
Who is it, man?
All right, it's late. D Gully concedes. Ladies and gentlemen, we are referring to none other than Dean Peters, who, of course, was branded as the Battle Cat. He debuted in September wearing a cat-like mask and hopping around the ring like a feline.
Ah.
Now,
yeah, great Vince McMahon idea, because he has all great ideas all the time in history. Right? So my goodness, Shane McMahon with a 12-hour wrestling marathon. Come on, we've got Battle Cat.
That's right, the Battle Cat.
The Battle Cat.
But again, can you believe this? That his amazing athleticism actually inspired Rob Van Dam.
I can, because Rob Van Dam can see a diamond in the rough. And this was rough to look at, I would imagine. I didn't even remember this.
So unfortunately, the gimmick lasted only a month, and Peters was released by the WWF in October of 1990. So again, for you youngins out there, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
No, it's
in
not.
the biz. And not all ideas are good ideas.
Not all ideas are good ideas.
So
some ideas completely suck.
I did want to ask you quickly, because this is off a little bit off the record here. Well, actually, no, we did say we were going to talk about this a little bit. WrestleDream.
Yeah.
So WrestleDream, of course, did occur, and
that name is terrible.
No, not a fan of WrestleDream.
No, that is terrible. WrestleDream. I'm gonna tell you something. Never mind. This is a family show.
Well, it's Shop Report After Dark. It's no holds barred.
We still have standards.
Midnight in the East. Oh my gosh! Yeah.
We still have standards, and we're going to keep to those. But that name is not. That is corny. WrestleDream. It's corny, and WrestleDream.
Just
like
yeah.
WrestleDream. That's not what. Let me.
So again, we were live Saturday while this PLE was going on.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts on this. So, of course, Bryan Danielson has 2 children, right?
Yep.
The first of which, fantastic. There was a story he had mentioned that he had just left a parent-teacher conference. So imagine that, right? You're at like probably private school near you,
right?
And in comes him and Bree, and of course the first child, fantastic. A few hours later, they get a phone call that the younger child has been kicked out of the school for biting 2 of the staff and an eye gouge.
Whoa.
Does that not sound like the Attitude Era at a middle school near you?
It does. Sounds a lot like it. Sounds a whole lot like it.
So what I did want to point out, of course, is I don't have the image with me, but ultimately we do have a new champion from WrestleDream, and that was none other than Jon Moxley. And as it appears, Bryan Danielson's full-time wrestling career is officially over. What do you make of this? And do you like in the image I was referring to was actually Moxley with Cody Rhodes holding their respective titles. Any thoughts from you on AEW's new main event champion?
Good for him. I think he's capable of holding that belt and making it interesting. For Bryan Danielson, man, I think he just really wants that break that he's well deserving of. But I don't know if he's done.
Well,
I think he's just beat up, and I think he really wants to heal and recalibrate himself for the rest of his life. And so he'll put performing in the ring in its proper place, order within his life, but he still want to compete. And he's still good enough to compete. But he deserves the break that he so desperately needs.
Right. Well, again, we talk about all the bumps that are taken, and his history, out of anybody, of course, in more recently, has been very well documented, and actually the fact that he's been able to get this far is actually somewhat of in some ways, nothing more than a credit to both modern medicine as much as it is to his determination and willpower. Because he was ruled that that he was supposed to retire a while ago. So
he was.
I want to give a lot of credit to him, but of course also to Moxley. I like the direction that they're going for those that, of course, are not just AEW haters for the sake of it, but actually give the program a chance. I will remind everybody, it is to all of your benefits to tune in to any program in that space.
Yes.
And of course, support your local house shows.
Yes.
Even
the carnival ones with the stale popcorn, you never know. You may see the next John Moxley or Bryan Danielson.
And that's just it. You know what? Gosh darn it.
Yeah.
There was an image that I want to say was it was either NWA, I think, and it was a faction. And dude, the Hall of Famers that were in that image, it was gross. It was just ridiculous. Like, this is modern, right? This is the current era. And it, of course, would span multiple programs, but the amount of champions that we are now household names were all in that image. So I will have to find it for next week's show. But Gully, any final thoughts from you? It does look like the again, for those that did see this, there was a lot of fallout. Again, Danielson was attacked post match. I mean, Moxley bit him in the back. I mean, that was kind of something I wasn't anticipating. Amongst plenty of other things that took place. So it looks like I feel like it left many. Again, MJF returned and of course, MJF and Cole, that was kind of expected, but Rico made an appearance. There was a lot going on and a lot left to want you to tune in, of course, and with where the storyline's going. So any other thoughts from you on WrestleDream other than the name itself? And go ahead. Take it away.
I'm glad that we've woken up, we've awakened from the WrestleDream, and the WrestleDream is over. That name is terrible. But it's in the end, it's about the product, right? Can't let a bad name cause me to miss out on such great action. I don't think Bryan Danielson is done. I think it's going to take a while. I think he's still got a match left in him. His retirement match is going to be great. AEW is still doing a pretty good job at giving us just good wrestling. And that is the sustaining That's the sustaining positive of that brand, as it still is going through the challenges of establishing itself as a premier brand in sports entertainment and has a viable competitor or alternative to WWE, which is a juggernaut, even if the signs of mismanagement and bad decisions are brewing. So keep plugging along, AEW. I think they'll break through. If Shane does join them, as long as he doesn't commit to the 12-hour match, we'll be here for him. But that's what I'm thinking as far as the North America sports landscape or professional sports landscape.
Absolutely. And speaking of sports landscape, again, I want to shout out to everybody that is tuning in here on X. There, as you see here, there are many of you. Please continue to let us know your thoughts as well. And lastly, I did want to ask you, because of course we have concluded our, as we transition towards Saturday, when we return. Keon Coleman, I said it was a huge opportunity for him. It turned out that the ball to the helmet, just Josh Allen has no interest in throwing to him whatsoever. So we were right to stay away from that. But Ray Davis, of course, was the takeaway of the day. So we will I will absolutely hone in on that. Any thoughts on just how the fantasy landscape and how the NFL week concluded?
Things are getting interesting now that we are in the real heart of the season. Now, I don't play fantasy because of the attention span that I have. But what I do understand is now you're in bye weeks, and bye weeks up the difficulty level because you got guys on a bye, you got guys that you want to start, but then you've got to go to that waiver wire. Get to your waiver wire, utilize it. And with all these things, go with your gut so that way you'll know how you think. So that way you'll be a better thinker in the future. I see that's about fantasy football, but that's an axiom for life. Go with your gut so you learn how to think, because it all is a guessing game. And you might have big money riding on fantasy football. I understand that, but you want to keep planning in the future. You're going to keep making these decisions. You'll never know. So you'll sometimes hit, sometimes won't, and don't know your logic box. Understand that. Go with your gut so you can learn how you think. That way you can think better in the future. That's my guidance. See what you can do with that in the world of sports, in sports betting. Do at your own risk. If you have a problem, call the gambling hotlines. Get yourself together. But if you like it and enjoy it and you can make money, more power to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, we will be returning Saturday. So sing Ave Maria. Until then, of course, there are going to be. Go ahead. There's plenty of waiver wire targets out there. Feel free, hit us up on any of the socials. I will probably be making a post or two with some high priority targets. But again, Ray Davis is your guy. Grab him now. Pay attention to those Saints receivers and what's going on with Shaheed as well as Olave, because they're going to have to throw the ball to somebody. So
they're going to have to throw the ball to somebody, right?
And then, of course, the link is in there if you would like to join us on the Shop Reports Pick'em League. Otherwise, again, we return to you on Saturday.
Saturday at 9 on the PM side.
That's right. And if you really want to know what's going on,
come to the shop. Walk-ins are always welcome.
Holla.